The Conan Exiles Twitter account has tweeted out what I believe is probably the final clue for Age of Sorcery Chapter 3. The livestream is coming this Monday in about 2 days' time as of the date of recording, so I don't think we're going to get any more teasers, and I think this is the last. As with the previous one, this tweet does continue the short story they've been crafting, so I'll read that now. You shake your head vigorously in an effort to clear your head of the intrusive thoughts, but feel compelled to investigate the building further. You find a scroll. Careful and diligent writings detail it, but more importantly, a drawing of a figure with a commanding presence. So this scroll depicts two figures, two different figures. The first one on the left is pretty recognisable, it is indeed Mek Kamoses. This isn't how he appears in game currently, but this is how he appears in the Battle Pass tableaus. I covered his story arc in my predictions for Chapter 3 video a little while ago, which a lot of you seem to really enjoy, and if you haven't seen that, it may help to understand the story so far in Chapter 1 and 2, so you can click the card in the top right to see that video now. Mek is a major player in what's happening in the Exiled Lands at the moment. He's leading the charge on research into sorcery to attempt to learn its knowledge for himself. In the story, Mek is driven by perhaps one of the purest emotions there is, revenge. He seeks revenge on Thoth Amon for exiling him from the Black Ring of Stygia and imprisoning him in the Exiled Lands. His entire character arc seems to be building up to this revenge taking place, and I did say in my Chapter 3 predictions video that I wasn't sure if we were going to see Thoth Amon, or perhaps some avatar or servant of Thoth Amon instead. We do know Mek is incredibly important to the story, and with his figure being depicted on this diagram, it's very interesting that he is drawn in such careful and meticulous detail. On the right side of the scroll we can see another hooded figure, but this is not Mek. They look similar, but they're definitely not the same person. That much is clear from the design of the hood and of course the mask. Mek's mask covers his entire face, whereas the one on the right seems to be a partial covering. It's very Acheronian and very typical of what you'd expect of a sorcerer's headpiece. There are of course some quite obvious guesses of who this could be. It could of course be Thoth Amon, although it could also be a different sorcerer like Xaltoten. It's really hard to say for sure, as googling images of either option don't really pull up anything that looks similar to this, but this design could just be a bit of creative license. What is interesting is that the skin that's visible below the mask on the right side figure does seem a bit unusual. I'm not sure whether I'm looking too deeply into it or whether it's just the quality of the sketch, but it does look like the skin is sort of mottled and maybe even to a degree decayed. Xaltoten, having been dead for thousands of years, could be a valid guess for this, or of course it could be a completely different character that we don't know of. What is probably more important is the question of who drew this. I very much doubt that Mek would take the time to meticulously craft sketches of himself and whoever the figure on the right side is. I'm also not too sure that anyone in general would sketch themselves like this. I mean, it's possible, I just don't really see it as a realistic possibility, so perhaps this was created by a third party. The most obvious guess of that third party would obviously be Kurak. He's an incredibly powerful sorcerer and has kind of slightly fallen into the background of the current Mek Kamoses saga. However, as the progenitor of sorcery in the Exiled Lands, at least this current strain of sorcery, he is also an incredibly important character, and I don't think his role in the Chapter 3 story should be discounted at all. One more thing about this scroll that is quite interesting is just below the right side figure there appears to be something that has been cut off. It's hard to really tell what exactly it is, as it just appears to be sort of 3/4 of a diamond-like shape, but it could be another drawing of a different person. In particular, this shape does look a good bit like it could be the top of a large hat of some sort, but with so little to go on, it's only really hypothesis, it's very hard to tell. With the reveal stream literally just round the corner, I don't think we're going to be getting any more teasers, and I think this is probably the biggest indication we're going to get of what is coming in Chapter 3, at least in terms of the story. I do believe that, as I predicted before, we are going to see some sort of conflict with Mek Kamoses involved. If the person on the right side is indeed Thoth Amon, then we will see conflict between those two, although that remains to be confirmed. I think really the interesting implication of this teaser is who wrote this scroll. If it is indeed Kurak, then he could be tracking the movements of both sorcerers. If that is indeed the case, and this workshop belongs to him, that means Kurak has harnessed some serious power, even more powerful than the sorcery we've already learned how to wield. Overall, there's a lot of very interesting implications here, but nothing solid just yet. I'm very interested to see what they reveal on the livestream and to get my hands on the Age of Sorcery Chapter 3 update. I know there's been a lot of complaints about game integrity with crashes and bugs and all sorts, but I'd say this is the most invested I've been in the Conan story for a while. If you're a bit of a fiend for lore like I am, then I think Chapter 3 is gonna deliver on that. As for what's coming gameplay feature wise, we don't really know yet. We've got some guesses, but we don't know for certain. We'll find out on the 20th on the reveal stream, but if you don't have time to catch it, I will of course be recapping all the juicy details on this channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to put your opinion in the comments on what this could mean. Since the teasing of this update began, a lot of you have suggested and commented some really interesting stuff. Obviously we won't know for certain until the 20th, but it's always nice to read what other people think is going to happen, and to kind of mesh some ideas together and kind of theory craft as to how that might play out. If you enjoyed that video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. The links to my Twitter, Discord, Patreon and various sponsored discounts are also available in the description below. As always, if you have suggestions for future content you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to become a member of the Coffee Cult by joining our Discord, and if you'd like to support the channel further, become an esteemed Coffee Cultist by joining us over on Patreon. As a patron, you'll get sneak peeks of new videos before they're uploaded, full-size blueprints, wallpapers in both 1080p and 4K resolutions, Discord roles and more. On that note, a massive thanks to all of our esteemed Coffee Cultists on screen now for continuing to support the channel. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.